We are live. Welcome back to Maryland Lifestyle with Ruth Ann Strauss. And
Keith Cooper, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am all right. I'm hanging in there. I was responding to a text, and I guess when I was responding, it must have had the microphone down. So it sent what you were saying when you were messing with the
Oh,
audio board.
no.
So I had to edit it and
Oh,
just pretend it never
that happens. You know what I've done? And I was talking to Tina about that lately. I do so much talk to text now
Right, right,
that I'll
right.
leave a voicemail and I'll be like, period. And then I'm like, oh, I just
I
did
do
that
that
on.
too. Like if I'm leaving a voicemail, I'll say exclamation point,
Right.
or or the best is if I'm in the car doing it, and if
Yeah.
I'm listening to a podcast, when I hit the microphone, it'll first record part of like before the podcast goes out, it'll
Yeah.
record that little bit. So I got to make sure it's just what I'm saying. It's
It's
very
crazy.
very fun.
It is fun. It makes me laugh. I've done a few of those voicemails, and it's like, oh man. Luckily, they now have an option for you to like delete the voicemail or listen to it
Right,
before you like accept it. And I usually will delete it. And I've done it where I deleted it and did it the second time, and I was just like, I give up.
right.
Just gotta laugh about it at that point. Some of us are just
Yeah.
not technologically inclined.
I know it gets tough.
It does.
How's your week been?
My week's been insanity. So, last week I had people reach out to me to sell 20 acres of land on
Oh,
the Eastern
right, right.
Shore.
Whatever happened to that?
So, I
Was it
talked to
fake?
them. I think so. Everything in my gut is saying it's fake. So, I try to trick them over and over again. I'm like, "All right, well, yeah, if you want me to list this, that's fine. I need email addresses for both of you. I'll need both of your photo IDs, and, then, I'll need any documentation you have on the property." Not even, like, 2 minutes later, I have both of their photo
Yeah, you
IDs,
showed
a
me
soil test.
hers.
Yeah, and even a handwritten letter about the property. I'm like, "Okay, there could be ways for them to get these things." So I'm like, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. And I just kind of was dragging my feet with them. And the guy called me a couple days later. He's like, I haven't heard back from you. I'm like, I'm sorry. I was just looking at like property values and what I think you might be able to sell it for. So the tax assessed value is like 160. So it's like,
Okay.
I think because you don't have perk testing, we could probably sell it for 125. He's like, all right, let me check with the boss, meaning his wife. And I'm like, all right. And he calls me not even 5 minutes later. He's like, that'll work for us. I'm like,
And what did they think it was worth initially?
well, the tax assessed is 160. This is 20 acres of land that's wooded that you could probably build on. It's probably buildable. I'm like, this is just crazy.
Is it buildable land?
It can be, yeah. So
And
they're allowed to get a sand mount
how many
septic.
how much trees and all that
The whole
deep?
thing is trees,
So you'd have to
basically.
knock
Yeah.
everything down.
Well, some you'd have to knock down enough room for the house and like the workers around the house, but like it is buildable and it's 20 acres.
Oh, so none of it's preserved
Mm-mm.
by any
Nope.
county or
None of
anything?
it has any of that. So my first test was asking for the IDs. They passed that. The IDs looked a little funny, but like when I put them both through Chat GPT, it was like it's hard to tell if these are fake. They have the holograms, they have everything. It was
Right.
it was pretty perfect. So I was like, all right. And then my next test was the price. I was like, I'm gonna give them a low ball price. And like there's no way they're gonna accept that. They accepted it. And I was like, you never asked me about commission. I was like, my commission is, blank amount of dollars. And he didn't argue that at all. He's like, all right, sounds good. I was like, all right, I'm going to drop all the paperwork. I'll send it over to you. And I'm thinking, this is the point where they're going to give up. They're going to read this paperwork where I'm telling them to put in there if there's a conservation easement, all that kind of stuff. They sign it within hours.
But let me ask you something. If somebody buys the land to get it perked and ready for build, I mean, that could cost double, triple what they pay for the land. Double, maybe.
Maybe perk testing's a few $1,000s.
Yeah, but what's the
Um,
real
the
expensive?
expensive one is feasibility studies,
Right,
all of
right,
that, and zoning if you have to do anything with zoning. So this was agricultural, but also residential. I mean, you can build on agricultural. So like, yeah, the buyer would have had to spend some money, but the thing is, like, I was just geeked out by the whole thing. But they signed the paperwork, which just shook me. I was like, okay, and they did it all right because I was going to use the paperwork and keep going back to buy myself time to send a certified letter to the home address in Pennsylvania.
Is that where they live in
Yes. So the
Pennsylvania?
SDOT, the true owners matched everything on the photo IDs. So I have their home address. So I'm like, I'm going to
Did
send
you ask
certified
them what their
mail.
home address was,
I
and
didn't
they
need to, it was on their photo IDs.
really?
Yeah,
And it was a real Pennsylvania driver's license?
yeah, and one
I
was a
mean,
photo
maybe it
ID.
is right. What was the story behind it? How long have
So,
they had it, or what did they buy it?
they've had it since for basically ever. I mean, I
Was
guess
it
it was
family
passed down,
land?
yeah, I think so. So, it ends up, they're pushing me, and I thought the paperwork, "Oh, I'm gonna be able to go back to them and buy myself a few days while I send the certified mail." No, like, they did it all right. So I called Tina on Saturday, I'm like, "What do I do?" She's like, "Go ahead and list it, and then do the certified mail, do all the things." And at this point, it's getting late on a Saturday, I'm not gonna make it to the post office. So I was like, "That's gonna have to wait till Monday." So I go ahead and I post it online, and right away, I'm getting showing requests. I'm getting phone calls. I'm getting all of that because it was so underpriced.
Right, right.
So, the very next day, there's 2 showings scheduled, and one of the agents calls me. He's like, "Hey, Ruth Ann, I think we have a little problem here." I'm like, "Uh-oh." He's like, "I got here to the property, and there's big signs on the trees that say, 'Private property, attention realtors, this property is not for sale.'" And I'm like, "Oh, yep, yep."
So did you call them?
So I did, no answer, so I text
Right,
them
now
a
they're
picture.
MIA.
Yeah, exactly. So I text them a picture. I'm like, "This was just found on the land. I'm canceling our agreement. I can't have this online with these photos." I was like, "I don't know what else to tell you." I said, "If you" this was my next test. I said, "If you all want this relisted, here's my office address. Let me know when you come into my office in person, and we can get this relisted." So 24 hours later, he calls me.
What'd he say?
He's like, "Oh, I forgot to take those down. I'm sorry for all the complications and confusion." I was like, "It's all good. Here's what we're gonna do." I said, "I'm gonna send you certified mail, and you're gonna have to respond to that mail, when you get it using that exact, envelope, put it in the thing and everything, and send it back to me, and then I'll know that this is okay." And he's like, "Well, I'm out of state." I'm like, "Yeah, I know you are. You're in Pennsylvania." And he's like, No, my daughter has cancer, so I'm in Georgia
Oh,
with
you're a
her at the
freaking
hospital."
liar, dude.
Right.
Here it
So he's
comes.
giving me the sob story about
Alright,
how
well, I'll
her
send it to your
children need
wife.
help and he
Yeah.
needs to be there for the children and the dad's out of the picture and they need this money from the land sale for her cancer treatments, the whole spiel. So basically I told him I was like, I'll see if there's any other way to do this, but for now I have to leave it the way it is. He's like, "Well, get back to me and let me know." Texted me good morning and then he called me during our meeting this morning. So I'm ignoring him at this point. I've put enough time and effort into it. Like I have looked up the owners on Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere I can, sent the owner a message on LinkedIn, but they might not see that. I sent who I think might be the owner a message on Facebook Messenger. I don't know if
Did they
she's gonna
look
see it.
the same?
No, it's hard to tell. Her photos on Facebook are so old that it's like, could
But do
this
they
be
look
her?
like the license?
Kind of, but not really. Not
And
really.
who's the guy?
The guy's the husband, so it's a husband and wife, and, like, he's got a more normal name, I'm not gonna say it on here, but he's got a pretty normal
But
name.
is he on her Facebook?
No, and
Right,
that's
right.
that's confusing right there because they own it together, and I'm like, "This is weird." Like, all of it is just weird.
It sounds like it's a
It's gotta
scam.
be. So, I also went and searched the wife's name, and I was able to find, like, "Oh, is it this person? It's got the right age, right, home area, all of that." She's got, like, 8 different phone numbers. And so did he, like, all these different phone numbers in the last few years, and I'm like, "Is this the scammers opening
Right.
phones under those?" Because when I forewarned the phone number, nothing came up, and I'm like, "This is just craziness." So I reached out to one of the most recent cell phones, and the lady wrote back, was like, "Yeah, this is not her." I'm like, "Dang."
I wonder if they're the people that are calling you, are they calling from a Pennsylvania area code?
I don't know.
Because I can tell you.
It would be let me see. Where is his phone number? He was just calling me today. It is a 410, so no, it is a
Oh,
Maryland
that's
phone number,
yeah.
but also, why do you have a 410 when that but I also found his name that was related to her name in this, like, people finder thing, and it said that he lives here in Maryland. I'm like, "This is all just a hot mess. This is a hot
He lives
mess."
in Maryland, has a PA license, and is physically in Georgia.
Right.
Oh,
So,
wow.
basically, the bottom line is
And have you talked to her?
no, no.
Oh, yeah, I'd wanna talk to
Right,
her.
me too. So now it's at the point where it's like, I've put too much time and effort into something that I know is a scam. I
Yeah.
went to the
I
I
would leave it alone. I'm a jerk
I
like
did a little
that.
bit. So I called Pennsylvania State Police, told them the situation. The lady's like, "How do I even know who you are?" She's like, "Go to your local police department." I was like, "Thanks. Thanks for your help." So I go to the local precinct in Towson, And they were like, "Well, where's the property? Like, where's the scam?" And I was like, "Oh, it's out in Queen Anne's County." And she's like, "You're gonna have to go out to Queen Anne's County Police Department." I'm like, "Okay, now this has gone too far. I'm not driving 2 hours." And that's the other part of the scam. So this is what the scammers do. They find land that's for sale with out of state owners. And then they find a realtor like myself that lives hours from said land, knowing that it's going to be very difficult for us to go out and check on the land and do anything
Right,
with it.
right.
So it
That's
took,
why I'd be so nervous about if I own
yeah.
land, I would be so scared, like,
Oh, yeah.
anybody can just take it.
I would have Wi-Fi there somehow and cameras up all the time. Like anybody could just come and
Yeah,
take it. It's
it's
crazy.
just unreal
Yeah.
that pe and people do that, like, in lying about
Oh, yeah.
cancer, and
Oh, it's
it's
crazy.
insanity. I
He
would tell the guy, "Look, unless you can get me the deed
right.
or something that proves that
It
you
doesn't
own
even do
this."
it because I can get the deed on public
Oh,
record.
right, right,
Anybody
right.
can. So, yeah, so it's like everything I have thought of, like, it's just not gonna work. So I did end up sending the certified mail, and they said it'll be there Friday, and I'm like, "Why is it so slow?" So, like, come Friday, I'm hoping
And
the
so
actual
certified
owners will
mail, that
call.
means somebody has to
Sign
receive
for it.
it.
Somebody has to
Well, what if
sign
they're
for it.
not home, though?
I don't know. I'm just
I think they leave they gotta meet them at the post
yeah.
office or
I
something.
think at this point, like, even their home address is 2 hours from me. So I was tempted to drive up to their
Yeah,
house, but at that point, it's like the amount of time, gas, effort, like, I'd rather just walk away from this.
right. Like, I just think that
But I'm kind of a jerk too, so I
yeah,
kinda
like,
wanna
I
get
would
these
mess
people
with
in
the
trouble.
guy, like, I
Right.
wouldn't go out of my way to do too much more, but I would still mess with the
I
guy. Like,
know.
"Tell me more about, like, where in Georgia are you? What
Right.
hospital are you at? I wanna send flowers," or
Right.
some
I wanted to be like,
shit.
"Alright, walk yourself into a local police station in Georgia and have the police call me from the station phone number so I can check that phone number and have them verify your ID."
Yeah, or something. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just like, there's legit signs on trees, like, is there any houses near there that you could call the owner and be like,
there
"Do you know who
is.
owns this land?"
Well, they know who owns it. It's the same name, but, I mean, the only thing
But,
I could
send
do
send them the ID.
that's what I might do is and I don't but I also don't wanna put this much effort into it anymore. I'm so bored with it now. And I've gotten a million phone calls about this land, but that is the picture. It says private property, no trespassing, and then it says attention realtors, and it's spelled awfully funny. Property not for sale. It's
Have
like,
you ever
okay.
been to the land?
I haven't because the land is an hour and 45 minutes and across the Bay Bridge.
Right, and you've never met the
Nope, never
sellers
met
or
them in person.
the sell whatever they
And
are.
the agent that called me with the photos, he actually lives like 5 miles from the property. And he's like, "I bet you this has been an ongoing thing." And then another agent called me later on Sunday. She lives on that road. And she's like, "We've had these scams before. That's
You
probably why
should
they
have
have the
sent them
signs
the
up."
IDs and said, "Are these the
I don't
owners?"
know if she knows. So the owners have probably never even been to the land. It's just
Right,
raw
right,
trees.
right.
So like it's just getting crazy. And I had one broker called me about it and he was like, "Have you tried looking up their next door neighbors on the MLS and reaching out to their next door neighbors in Pennsylvania and asking them to verify or asking them to have them call you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I get their home address, but
But
I
you're
don't have their
not a
phone numbers."
PI
I know, I'm not.
also,
I'm not
like,
a
all
PI.
this for $150,000 land deal, which
Right.
again, whatever, money's money, but the amount of time you're
Right.
putting in, you could've gotten 2 $500,000
Exactly, and that's
deals
why
or
Tina was
whatever.
like, "Give up on this." She's like, "You know in your
Yeah.
heart of hearts that this is a scam."
Yeah,
And I'm
like,
like,
the
"I
guy,
do."
if he's so eager to call and give you whatever you want, but
Right.
as soon as you mention, "Come by my office," all of a
24
sudden,
hours silence.
he's in Georgia,
Yeah.
and, you should be like, "Oh, well, I have to take a road trip. I can meet you there."
I should be
See,
like, "Buy me a plane ticket to Georgia, and I'll be
right,
there." Actually, I'm gonna be there in June.
unfortunately, with the sign and you not meeting me face to face, it's just too risky for me to
It's
move
wild.
forward.
It's wild.
It's not right. So, anyway, that was that was
That
a
was my
very
weekend.
interesting story.
That was my weekend. I spent my whole weekend so stressed about that. Like, it was on my mind the whole weekend and just freaking me out the whole way through. So that's what I did this weekend. What did you
Very
do this
interesting.
weekend?
This weekend, what did I do? It was pretty quiet. I mean,
Must be
no,
nice.
it there were some things going on. I mean, again, nothing too crazy, but yeah, I think a couple contracts, maybe a refi. The market's actually doing well today.
Ah,
Well, apparently there's now talks that the war is coming to like there was positive news this morning that the
positive is
war
good.
is now hopefully
Well,
coming to an end, and the bond market reacted very favorably for that.
good. Which means
Meaning,
lower rates, right?
yeah, so the bond market, the last I checked, was up like 33 basis points. And just to give you an idea, the 10-year yesterday, well, the yesterday was an okay day, but the 10-year was at like 4.43. Today, the 10 years under 4.35. So that's good. I mean, if that 10-year comes under 4, um, that means rates have, I think we're back in the fives. I mean,
Yay!
even today, I mean, it's a huge move. Hopefully, it doesn't get it doesn't get whipsawed or whiplashed.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, waiting. If something, God forbid, like, oh, tomorrow they could say, well, the talks fell and
Oh,
now
let's
they're
hope not.
bombing this
Let's
and
hope not.
killing that, and now the rates go back up.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, but again, you got to take little victories. I'm sorry, I have something in my eye. You
Okay.
have to take little victories when you can get them.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
We've gone from 8s to 5s. That's a big victory. I mean,
Yeah,
if
I
you look
mean,
at the
look,
last few years.
and I always tried to say, like, a normal market, not accounting for 2020 and
Yeah.
2021. I mean, again, the prime rate was 0. The coronavirus not only affected America, it affected, Europe. I mean, affected the
Yeah.
whole world. So with all that being into play, yes, people were very fortunate and could get rates, at 4, in the 3s, I mean, in the 2s,
You like
like,
that?
you could get ridiculously low rates. The problem is, come middle of 22, the rates skyrocketed, and we're again, by the last few years, we were at 8%. So you're talking a 5-point increase in rate.
Yeah,
Now,
it's huge.
with that being said, a normal market, what I feel, my opinion, because there's no exacts to this industry whatsoever, but my opinion is a normal market is anywhere from like upper fours to like low to mid sixes, I think.
I would agree with that.
To me, that is a normal market. So anybody that's busting out of their home, or they won't leave because of the rate. I mean, here's the reality. Home appreciation, like, everybody's waiting for the bottom to fall out, right? And I know we're on a separate track. We
Oh, we're always
wanted
off
to
track.
talk
It's all
about,
good.
but again, this is good information though,
Yeah,
and we'll figure it out. But
we'll get there.
anyway, this is all good stuff. But for all the people that are feeling the bottom is going to fall out and these values are way overinflated, and what I try to tell people is, look, we are not in 2005, 6, 7, and 8
No.
anymore. I've said this a million times, and you know, back in those days, and hand to God, there were appraisers that would reach out to lenders
Oh,
and
yeah.
literally say to them, what do you need to make this work? Or what are you trying to get to?
Yeah.
And it was literally the wild, wild west. So you fast forward to 2012 and beyond, with the CFPB making all these new guidelines, appraisers are, first off, it's almost like it's a dying breed. A lot of things are moving more automated, but appraisers, they're terrified of losing, like, licenses or credentials that they have. Lenders aren't even allowed to speak to them anymore. Most of the time you have these third party appraisal management companies, and yeah, you can pick a panel, but, it's almost like it's a luck of the draw.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, an appraisal is an opinion of value, but what they are not doing is they're not reaching out or being persuaded to overinflate values. So the fact that values have been steadily rising is just natural market. It's the market that's dictating it. And the fact is, in March, there was, I think, point almost a half a percent appreciation in March. In the upcoming 12 months, the expectations are for 5% appreciation. Think about
Mm,
that. If you buy a home for $500,000, in 12 months, that home, without doing one thing, could be worth $525,000.
yeah.
I mean, where are you getting a $25,000 or a
Ooh,
5% return on
yeah.
your investment, on your money within 12 months' time?
You're not.
It's I don't know how realistic that is. Now, again, in 2020 and 21, home appreciation was going gangbusters. 8, 10, 15%, 20% of homes
Yeah.
were doubling. I mean, it was insane, which is now, caused some stress. Like, you have a lot of VA buyers that want to sell their home, or VA sellers that want to list their home, and as an incentive, they'll put, "Oh, you can assume this loan for a 4% rate." The problem is they bought that home in 2015 for 300 grand, and now in 2026 that same home is selling for 600 and they owe 240. Well, who has 460 $360,000
Yeah.
to cover that difference? Because no mortgage company is going to give you a third loan.
Of
Like, they're
course
not going to
not.
go in third position.
I have a question for you though. Okay. So with an assumable loan, let's say that you and this may or may not be a real situation I'm in. Um, let's say the appraisal comes in way below value, and the house was just bought 2 years prior for that value that it's currently under contract for, and it appraised 2 years ago for that value. Could they now make this an assumable loan for the buyer, or would the VA want another appraisal done?
So wait, your seller, is it your seller or buyer?
Theoretically speaking, this is my seller.
So your seller hypothetically is selling a home that they bought 2 years ago.
Yes, and it appraised at value 2 years ago, but today is appraising for a lot less.
Is it a good appraisal?
I would say no, but the problem would be no comps in the area.
And
Very
now
unique home, very
the
unique.
people that are buying it, um,
RVA. So it's a VA seller, VA buyer.
but he's not. How much does he owe on the loan?
More than the appraised value now.
Okay, but from what he owes and what he was selling it for, what's that difference?
I don't know offhand. I'd have to go look. But theoretically speaking, could that um, VA loan just become assumable and be assumed by the buyer? And if they were to do that, would they use this new VA appraised value, or would there not even be an appraisal factored into it if it's being assumed?
Well, here's the thing. If the seller agrees that they'll let the buyer assume it. So was the buyer paying a lot over what the sales was the sales price? How much under did the appraisal come in? Let me ask you that.
Over 30,000.
Okay, so 30 grand less. And the seller owes X. The seller, if the seller's willing to sell it for what is owed, then essentially the buyer can call that, well, the seller would have to call the servicer, and the servicer would have to basically approve the buyer for an assumable loan.
Right.
A loan officer isn't going to do that. It's
Right.
up to the
The
servicer.
bank.
Now, even if the seller or the buyer, let's say it all agrees and he owes 150, he's going to assume 150. the buyer still has to bring
Some
money for
money.
closing costs,
Right.
and so does the seller. They
And the
have
the gap,
well
right? The buyer would have to bring the money for the gap and the closing costs?
well, there is no gap. Well, yeah, if there is a gap,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
but if it I mean, again, that's something the seller would have to think about. Like,
Okay.
you know, you could you could have a contract for 200 and the loan's 150. Yeah, the servicer can approve them to assume the 150. Now they got to come up with 50 grand plus closing costs.
Right.
Yeah, that can
But there
that
wouldn't be another appraisal is what I'm basically
I
getting
don't
at.
know if the current servicer would
Okay.
order their own appraisal.
Okay.
Now, if they did, they would probably see an appraisal was uploaded recently
Shoot.
to the
Okay.
portal if it has been, because all that is electronically talking to each other.
Right.
So
Okay.
it really just depends. Now, were there, I mean, between me and you, were there comps to support the higher value?
I would say yes.
Did you try to
I
do,
did a Tidewater.
and wouldn't,
I'll have to look at the full report, but yeah.
they wouldn't budge?
Theoretically, no, I don't think they're gonna budge, but
Theoretically.
this is all theoretical.
Right. Now, if you're still waiting on that to get back, um, you
Yeah.
know, I
Okay.
mean, again, it's a
We'll
sucky
talk after this.
situation. But look, otherwise, what's gonna happen though is well, you could try to relist it, hopefully get a conventional or FHA offer. Um, the other thing is the seller, look, if it really did appraise 30 grand under what the seller owes, the seller might just say, "Well, screw it."
Right?
Like,
There's
"Just
options.
assume what I owe, I won't even worry if you don't have the additional spread,"
Yeah.
you know?
There's a lot of options here, so
Yeah, there's definitely options
we'll
to work
discuss that.
out, so we'll see.
Love
But,
appraisal stuff.
yeah, but yeah, and that but that's what I mean, though. So, with this all started back taking it back to the rates, so the prices aren't coming down,
No.
right? Homes are still appreciating. So, it behooves people, to buy sooner, so they're walking in, and hopefully gaining equity, minus your seller,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Every
But
now and then
again,
there's circumstances, but
yeah, I would like to see that appraisal just to see, like, where the
theoretically.
comps were, if there theoretically is one. But I would theoretically, if there was, I would, wouldn't mind giving a
That would
opinion
be
on it.
fantastic.
But, yeah, so I know we wanted to talk about Annapolis, which
Yeah.
is our
Our
capital.
state's capital, Annapolis. Beautiful, beautiful town where I will soon be living again, once again. I lived there for 5 years before.
Now your friend lives in Annapolis, or
Yes.
no?
Yes. That's why I'm moving there again.
You are definitely moving there.
Yeah.
Really?
In the next few months.
Oh, so now does he own a home?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the same friend that we've always talked about?
Now, this one's been around since July of last year.
And what does he do?
He works for, the county.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was
Getting
thinking
his,
of the
real
of
estate
the
license, though.
I was thinking about the sales distributor.
Yeah, no, no, different one,
Okay,
different
okay,
one.
okay, okay. So this guy has a house in Annapolis. Now what are you gonna do with your house?
Rent it out, which
Okay.
breaks my heart. I put so much
Have
into it.
you listed it for rent yet?
No, I'm waiting until I move out and get it all cleaned and get a rental inspection. Because in Baltimore County, you have to have a rental inspection and a rental license to rent out. So I have
Is
to go
that
through all the
new or
proper
you've always
avenues.
had to have?
I don't know how new that is, but I mean, you're
Because I
supposed
can
to.
tell you that I know many of
Yeah.
people that have left the home, rented it out, and did not go
Well,
and
I'm a
get a
rule
rental
follower,
license.
so I'm
No, I mean,
following
hey,
all of the right legal responsibilities because I know, like, if I got into a situation where I had to evict the tenant and I don't have a rental license, I'm gonna get a fine. So I don't
right,
really wanna get a fine, so I'm making sure I have everything done. I'm gonna have my rental inspection, get, my rental license, make sure that it's all good, cleaned, and ready to go, and take a ton of photos of it, so if they break anything, I will have proof that it was in that condition before they took, possession. I'm
Yeah,
crazy.
you're gonna
I don't know
be
if
a
anybody's gonna
fun
wanna
f
rent from
you're gonna
me.
be a fun landlord.
Right.
You're gonna have, like, 30 applications and, then
Not
you're
take
gonna
any of
yeah,
them.
not take one
I
and,
know.
but whatever. Hey, change of scenery, it'll be cool for
Yeah.
you. So, yeah, we definitely have to talk next time
Yeah.
about the Capitol, but I
Yeah.
think we had good stuff.
We
I
did.
mean, market, we had a very cool story. I love
Absolutely.
stuff like that, but
It's
I would just
crazy.
play with the guy. I
Oh,
just
yeah. Well, that's why at this point I wanna get in touch with the police, like, maybe they can do some kind of sting and catch this dude, like, maybe we
yeah,
could do
like,
a
I
whole
mean,
fake transaction and get him to go sign in person and arrest him.
obviously, this is not his first rodeo,
No,
you
I mean, he
know?
was so well prepared with the documentation, it was like,
The sad part is if it was really legit, but everything he's doing,
everything is saying it's not.
nothing points to that.
And if it was legit, wouldn't you want an agent that lives near your empty property to make sure that they can keep an eye on it?
Right, right.
Why would you pick an agent that lives 2 hours away across the Bay Bridge? And it just everything is just coming together, and it's like, yeah, it's obviously a scam, but it's so hard to walk away from that.
Yeah, it is, but, it's not worth, getting in even though you probably wouldn't get in any legal trouble,
Mm-mm.
but you'd have to deal with
I don't wanna put anybody through that. Like, what
yeah,
if a
like, you'd
buyer goes
have
under contract, now he's spending thousands of dollars on feasibility studies and, soil testing. I don't want anybody coming in and spending
right.
that kind of money just to find out it was a scam. Like,
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
just
mm-mm.
so how'd you get a sign out?
I didn't. I didn't even put a sign out.
So how'd they oh, you just list
I just listed it on the MLS because
oh, but that's weird that the agents called you, but the owners because you would think if the owners have a sign all over trees, they would be scaling that property every week to see if any
they don't live
changes.
anywhere nearby that property. It's
Yeah, but I mean, looking
ours.
online, just
Oh,
doing
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
Google
you're right.
search,
You're right.
I would if I owned land, I would Google that every week to see if
Right.
it's listed or what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, for all I know, they could be sitting in a retirement home somewhere, not aware of it all.
Right,
I mean, like,
right.
you never really know what a situation is. It's one of those things where, like, my soft part is like, "Oh, I really wanna help somebody." Like, what if he really does have a daughter with cancer and he's
Yeah.
down in Georgia? It's like, I really wanna help, but I also don't wanna see anybody
Yeah,
else get
you
screwed
gotta
over in it, and
you
it feels fishy. Every step of the way has felt
yeah,
fishy.
you gotta cover your own butt.
Absolutely, and other people. I
So
don't wanna see anybody else lose their money on this, so
right.
yeah, good
So,
times.
yeah.
The world we live in, it's a wonderful
So
place.
next week, we will
Talk more on Annapolis.
talk more on Annapolis and, yeah,
And
we'll
catch
talk
up.
about some cool stuff.
Sounds
Alright,
good.
but
Well,
this
thank
was
you.
fun. Thank
Always.
you. And please make sure if you ever have any questions, reach out. We gotta
Yep.
get, like, our info to pop up.
Oh, we can. I
Like
can put it in our little thing.
yeah, we
All
should
right.
do that.
We'll do that. Y'all can find our information online. You'll see it right there on the website.
Yes, yes. Please reach out with any questions. No questions are too small or too silly.
Absolutely.
Alright, take care,
Thanks.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you.